This is my audience. Have you ever gone to the doctor's office with a headache and been diagnosed as subhuman with the inability to gain intelligence? That'd be ridiculous, right? And yet our society has readily accepted false medical theories time and time again, directly impacting our culture and way of life. As someone planning on entering the medical community, I have studied medical anthropology in order to understand how medical theories directly impact our society. Throughout American history, there have been so many false medical theories and practices that have proven to hurt both the individual and the society, such as Dr. Samuel Cartwright's slave illnesses, Dr. Samuel Morton's theory of craniometry, and Dr. Cesar Lombroso's theory of criminology. So how did one doctor's medical theories impact the nationwide treatment of slaves? Dr. Samuel Cartwright developed two diseases that were prevalent in the African American community, as explained in Diseases and Peculiarities of the Negro Race, published in DeBow's Review, 1851. Drapetomania was a mental illness that caused slaves to become sulky and dissatisfied and then run away. Whipping the devil out of them, as stated by Cartwright, was the treatment, along with treating them like unintelligent little children, somehow causing them to no longer want to run away. The second disease was dysphagia. The slaves would develop rascality by running around at night and then developing lethargy and skin lesions we now know were actually caused by whipping. Dr. Cartwright stated that it prevails among free Negroes that have not got some white person to direct and take care of them, further enforcing the idea that slavery was good for Africans and that Caucasians needed to enslave the Africans. While Dr. Cartwright focused on skin color, Dr. Samuel Morton studied skull size. Dr. Morton's theory of craniometry was seen by many as scientific proof of inferior races. As explained by Louis Menand in his article Morton Agassiz and the Origins of Scientific Racism in the United States, published in 2002. While this might seem to most as a normal skeletal model of the human anatomy, Dr. Morton would see so much more, because to Dr. Morton, size did matter. Morton cataloged the average size of skulls and then corrupted the data in his favor. His levels of intelligence fell as, no surprise, Caucasian, Mongolia, Malay, Native American, and then African. Dr. Morton wrote that Caucasians were distinguished by the facility with which it attains the highest intellectual endowments, while Native Americans were restless, revengeful, and fond of war, and Africans were joyous, flexible, and indolent, of which the far extreme was the lowest grade in humanity. While Dr. Morton contributed immensely to racism in America, he managed to do even more harm by the doctors that built off of his theories. Dr. Lombroso's findings were used to classify certain groups as prone to criminal behavior. The New World Encyclopedia explained Dr. Lombroso's theory of atavism. Criminals were formed by the sudden de-evolution of the human species, the signs of which being certain physical anomalies. Women rarely had skull anomalies because they evolved less than men had due to the inactive natures of their lives, as explained by Lombroso. Apparently, women were neither intelligent nor ambitious enough to be criminals. He outlined the criminal characteristics, including a broad nose, larger lips, and a longer arm-to-leg ratio, characteristics commonly attributed to certain minorities. In his first edition of Criminal Man, released in 1876, he stated that criminals resemble savages and the colored races. Dr. Lombroso's work impacted not just American society, but founded the eugenics movement that later inspired the Nazi Party, reinforcing his title as a truly evil man, along with Dr. Morton and Dr. Cartwright. In conclusion, my explanation of Dr. Samuel Cartwright's slave illness is Dr. Samuel Morton's theory of craniometry and Dr. Cesar Lombroso's theory of criminology give examples of false medical theories and practices in American history. Doctors are supposed to dedicate their lives to helping people, and yet these men abuse their power and standing in order to further their own ideas and agendas of sexism and racism. The effects of these false theories can still be seen in our society today. Since everyone here are active American citizens, it is our jobs to learn about these past atrocities and in order to prevent them from happening again.